Division for Yap State government.
And how long have you been in that position?
I've been there approximately a year and a half.
Can you give us a little bit of background on the clam transplanting program that Yap has undertaken?
Okay, Yap State has had a clam project for about 3 years now, and it's actually in about 3 different phases. The first phase was initiated in about 1984 when 1,000 clams were shipped from MMDC to Yap. These were cultured in trays in Yap for about 1 year, and they were transplanted to about 31 villages around Yap proper. And they've been in the villages for about a year and a half now, and the Marine Resource Management Division monitors them in terms of survival and growth every 6 months. In phase 2, in December 1985, another shipment of 1,000 clams were shipped from MMDC to Yap, and these were grown in Yap proper for 1 year, and in the fall of 1986 they were transplanted to outer islands of Yap. Currently all inhabited outer islands of Yap except Nulu have some clams. And in phase 3 we received additional funding from Pacific Fisheries Development Foundation to have an additional shipment of 6,000 clams. These clams were shipped in December 1986 and January 1987. They are currently being cultured in cages in Yap proper. And at the end of this year, when they are large enough to come out of the trays, they will be placed in about 70 villages around Yap that do not currently have clams. In addition, some of those clams will be shipped to outer islands of Yap to supplement the original shipment of last year.
What impact do you think the transplant might have in terms of establishing a breeding population or providing a food source in the future?
Okay. The objective of the Yap Clam project is to introduce clams to the reefs of Yap State. It is not for commercial culture. The clams that are being set to each village and each of the outer islands are supposed to form a broodstock or breeding population so that in the coming years the clam stocks should be able to regenerate themselves in these locations. And it's the babies from this original group which can be harvested and consumed or sold. So in terms of our clam project, it's not for commercial development but more for supplemental income and supplemental food sources for local islanders.
Plans do you have for the next year or so in terms of considerations for a hatchery?
Okay, in terms of Yap State has received funding from the Pacific Fisheries Development Foundation, and we will be conducting a feasibility study to determine whether it's economically feasible to set up a clam hatchery in Yap. The results of this study will determine whether we develop a hatchery or whether we continue to be supplied by Palau's MMDC facility.
The level of local acceptance of the transplanting program?
We seem to be having very good local acceptance of what we're doing. In terms of the transplants to the individual villages, the 31 villages that were seeded a year ago, only one of the 31 sites have lost a significant number of clams. All the other ones, the villagers have been maintaining, and the clams have not been eaten, and they are growing very well. In terms of the outer island transplants last year, I met with the Council of Tamol, which is the outer island council of chiefs, last week, and they were very enthusiastic about the clam transplants, and they wanted to know when the additional shipments were coming through. And in terms of our third phase of our clam project, which is the additional 6,000 clams we just received, we are starting a training program whereby 2 individuals from each municipality are hired on a 1-month basis to work with Marine Resources staff in care and maintenance of clams in cages. This has gotten very good acceptance from each of the municipalities, and it gives a chance for villagers to actively be involved with our clam project.